This is a distant, far-flung war. That's what many GBNews viewers and listeners will think. But the costs to us here are real. We've now got petrol retailers talking about £2 a litre for gas, for petrol and diesel on the forecourts soon, unless oil prices come down. We've got wheat prices spiralling because Russia's the world's biggest exporter of wheat. We've got wholesale gas prices spiralling at a time when we know in April, as you just said, energy prices, household utility bills are set to spike anyway. Yes, of course, the people of Ukraine are suffering. There are soldiers on both sides, unfortunately, who will die during this conflict. But any grown-up analysis has to accept that the economic backdrop, the economic implications of war are part of the conflict. And I'm afraid the reality is the more that this conflict in Ukraine, the more this Russian invasion pumps up commodity prices around the world. Russia, of course, is a hugely important supplier, not just of oil and gas, but all kinds of metals and food. Then that means it's harder for the Western world, I'm afraid, despite many people feeling we need to put these sanctions on Russia to rein in Putin. It's hard at a time when we've got this cost of living crisis because we rely on so many of the things that Russia exports to the world.
Yeah, we certainly do. And in terms of measures that we can take to try and, I guess, shelter ourselves, a buffer from this, what do they look like? Well,
I think in terms of the government, I think what's happening in Ukraine at the moment is going to spark a wholesale rethink of the UK's energy policy. For years, people like me have said we need to build more gas storage. We need more energy security. We need to think hard before we start putting renewable energy subsidies for big companies, sticking them onto the bills of ordinary household utilities. So I think a lot of that's going to change. I think there's going to be a faster move into nuclear power here in the UK, replacing some of our old decommissioned nuclear power plants. And I do think the government, before April, when that big energy price hike comes in, is going to have to extend the package of measures which Rishi Sunak announced only earlier this month. I do think there's going to have to be more assistance, not just for the poorest and most vulnerable households in the UK, which will struggle to meet their gas and electricity bills, but for many, more comfortably off middle-income families, it's going to be very, very difficult. We already know that energy bills on average are going to go up to around £2,000 a year from April. That's our gas and electricity bills. If wholesale energy prices don't come down soon, then you're looking at even higher costs. So it's a very difficult message to put across. I'm not saying that it's all doom and gloom by any means. We are a secure country. We are financially strong. We can face up to Putin's Russia to some degree. We are, of course, a very, very serious military power. But in the back of the minds of ministers, not only in the UK, but even the US and across Europe, as they consider what sanctions to impose on the Kremlin, the cost of living crisis, Michelle, will loom large.
Liam Halligan, thank you very much.